Hi everybody, it's Margaret and I'm here in my studio, and I know in last week's video I mentioned to you that I was going to be doing some wearable art this week. Well, things didn't quite play out the way I had expected to, so what I'm going to do for you now is just kind of show you one of my favorite deli paper applications or techniques are. And I'm going to be using one of my Zoe stencils to show you that. So basically, also, yes, you need to know that I'm like playing with the Tim Holtz De-Stress ink mini ink pads here. So this is some of my favorite stuff. Deli paper that I have actually rolled white paint onto, and I know you can't really see this, but I've got white paint that I've just rolled and spread across across the paper. And I love the white paint to do this technique with, because the colors that you can achieve on the white deli paper with using the Tim Holtz stamp pads is just incredible. And as you can see by these two samples right here, there's so much like blending and changing of color that you can do, and a part of that is achieved by using a cosmetic sponge. And of course your option could also be using one of the Tim Holtz, I don't know what they call these, but they work well and I like them. But my cosmetic sponge is like one of my favorite things. And I think that's just because I can continue to like dab it in different colors and change sides and pick up a different color and move things around. So I know it's kind of a crazy thing, but this is what I love. So what I wanted to show you, I had actually used this paper on this collage, so I know that you can see this here, and it just gives like a really cool effect. You've got that white that's popping out behind all these beautifully blended little stenciled areas. So that's the whole idea behind me using white deli paper. And what I'm going to do is I have my my Zoe stencil, and this part of the stencil here that has all those dots on it, I love the techniques that the look that I can achieve by using this stencil, and so I figured I would do this one to demo my white deli paper technique. So what I'm going to do is, I've got a piece of foam core under here just because it's a little bit cushy, and I'm going to just use a tiny bit of blue painter's tape and just kind of anchor that down on my foam core, just so it doesn't really move a lot. And what I'm going to do is go down through the entire piece of deli paper using the distressing pads with my cosmetic sponge. So I've got two blue greens here, purple, shaded lilac. So I'm just kind of going to put these to the side, and I'm going to leave my cover with my ink pad so I know like which one it is that I'm looking at. And I like using colors that are close together so that I can work to blend them in. So I've got the purples here, and then I've got Salty Ocean, Peacock Feathers, and Evergreen Bow. So I'm going to use those three as well. And then I think the other one that I will add to my my Seedless Preserves and shaded lilac might be my sponge sugar. I don't have too many options that way, I guess. So what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to work with the blues and greens, because I think that these just really pop off the page. So the cool thing about this Zoe stencil is that you can apply it in one direction, and then on the next application you can flip it and apply it in the opposite direction, which means that you're creating a repeat of gradation in size, and it's a really cool thing. I know I haven't demonstrated this on fabric or anything yet, but basically I'm just going to hold my stencil here, and I'm going to start with peacock feathers, and I'm just going to kind of, I like to just rub it a little bit. And while I've got my peacock feathers going on, I'm going to just turn this over a little bit, and from the other side I'm just going to pick up a little bit of evergreen bow, which I know will just look a little bit different. And then on the last side here, I'm going to mix in Salty Ocean, and I'm just going to lightly blend this in with the other colors here. And what's going to be even more cool is that we're going to get blending going vertically as well as horizontally. So I'm going to pick this up, and you can see where, yes, I've gotten a little bit of ink through there. But what I'm going to do is line my stencil up. And as you can see, there's a section here that goes higher and lower, you know, they're staggered a little bit. So what you want to do is you want to use the part that's going to be the highest now. You want to align that with that last circle. And I know that's kind of weird to say that, and we got motorcycles going by here, sorry about that. But it will make sense, and you can see through the stencil, so that's also going to help you a lot. So I'm going to go back to my peacock feathers, and I think I'm going to do peacock feathers where I alternately did the blue before, just to change it up a little bit. And then I think I'm going to go in with my Salty Ocean. Do that over here. I don't really like my evergreen bow, so I'm maybe going to do peacock feathers over here again. So as you can see, what's happening here is you've got large to small, then small to large, and with the change in the colors as you're blending them, you get this really cool effect. So as you can see, I'm going to continue to do again where I left off, and just shift this and line up those large circles again so that the higher ones are up against the shorter ones before. And I'm going to continue to do the same thing kind of all the way across the piece of deli paper. And as you can imagine, there's so many different ways that you can use this deli paper in collage, and it's so much fun. I love it. And whether you're working on canvas or whether you're working on just art journal paper and mixed media paper, it works great with either one. So now you can see how this repeat is going from, you know, large to small, then back to large, and then back to small again. And it's just a really cool look. And I will be doing this on fabric. I have this piece to show you that I have done so far, and you can see how nice it looks on fabric, but I'll explain how I did it later, but you can see that I used the Zoe stencil for that one too. And if you're worried about the inks, you can definitely wear some rubber gloves with this. I'm naturally messy, so it really doesn't bother me all that much. But here we go, and you can see where this is going. It's just a really cute application to change up the colors and directions of that stencil, as well as the blending of the inks. So now I'm going to let this dry, and then I can incorporate this into any any other mixed media project or collage that I want to. And it pops. It really, really pops against the white paint, obviously, as anything would if you put it on white paint. But this you get to rip up and collage with and have a lot of fun. So there's good options with this. So now that I've got my white paper printed, I wanted to just show you a little bit of how the inks actually look on painted paper as well. So I'm going to use my same stencil here, and I'm just going to go in with the shaded lilac, which I think will be enough color, but we'll see. So I've got a new cosmetic sponge here so that I could put new colors on it. And I don't think the shaded lilac's really going to show up that much, so I'm going to go in with the seedless preserves and see what happens with that. And this is showing up a little bit better, and I don't have to do it all over. But you can see how you've got like more of a subtle gradation and tone on tone kind of look, and I just love that. So here I'm not going to worry too much about how I'm lined up, and I'm going to continue with my grape. Just kind of place it in different areas. I'm not going in evenly to distribute it. And I know it's super subtle. I hope you can see that. But it's just a really cool patterning going on here, and it's tone on tone, and a lot of times I think that sometimes I've got way too much color going on, so this is a great way to kind of pull me back to, all right, let's look at the texture and the pattern and not so much color. Let's see what we can do with less colors and more with technique and texture. So it's a great way to go in with subtle touches on the deli paper, and this also lets you, once you've collaged with these types of pieces, then you can go over them with additional imagery. So you've got that really nice, soft kind of hint of patterning going on, depending upon how hard you apply the inks. But it's a great technique, and I hope you end up using this in your collage, and I'm sure I'll be sharing more later. Thanks!